Greetings, everyone, and welcome to What's New in Google Meet, presented by the Minnesota Metro Area Google Educator Group, or GEG, Minnesota Metro Area. Next slide, please. I am Rick Ballou. You can find me on Twitter at BallouEdTech. I'm the current leader of GEG Minnesota Metro Area, and we also have, next is...
I am Emily Vlassen. You can find me on Twitter at Emily Vlassen, and I am the Learning Captain for GEG Minnesota Metro Area.
And hi, everybody. I'm Emily Thomas. You can find me on Twitter at EKTEdTech, and I am the Empower Captain for the GEG Minnesota Metro Area.
So this is our plug. Join us. Join us at the Minnesota Metro Area GEG. You can find it at bit.ly/GEGMMA. Super easy to remember, rolls right off the tongue, but let me say it again. bit.ly/GEGMMA, all capital letters. And that's for the Google Educator Group, Minnesota Metro Area.
All right. Well, we'll just dig right in to what's new in Google Meet. There's a ton of new stuff that's come out recently. A lot of it's been released in the last 4 to 6 weeks since many people started school. So we'll go over some of these features and talk about how they might be beneficial for you and your classroom. So the first one, these are kind of all the moderation tools that were released. One of the moderation tools was knocking improvements. So knocking is a little bit weird in Google Meet. There's no actual button that is a knock, and there doesn't actually even sound like a knock. It kind of sounds like a doorbell on the host's end. So I don't know why it's called knocking, but that's what Google has decided to go with, so we'll go with it. So knocking is when somebody clicks on Join Meet, and then a request to join is sent to the meeting owner, who is also the moderator. So when you get that, you will see a little screen that pops up right into the center of your screen that has the person's name and says, outside of your organization, would like to join your meet. And then you have the option to allow or deny them. When somebody is denied twice in the same meet, any future attempts will not be seen. So even if they keep knocking, they will no longer be able to join that meeting. If it is a recurring meeting, that will be the same over time. So if a student is denied entry twice on a Monday, they would not be able to join that same meeting on a Tuesday or Wednesday until you re-invite them to the meeting. That is the same if somebody is removed from the meeting. If the moderator removes someone because they're being disruptive or the meeting is over and they're not leaving, whatever the scenario might be, if somebody is removed from a meeting, they need to be re-invited inside the meet to join the meeting again. And that's done in the People tab. When you can view all the people, you can invite someone right there. The next moderation tool is the Quick Access. This is kind of a really cool tool that makes the knocking features make a little more sense. So there's two options. It's either toggled on or toggled off. When it is turned on, anybody who's in the same domain as the host, so this might be your school district EDU domain, it could be a student domain, it might be whatever your domain is, they don't need to knock to request to join the meeting. So anybody in the same domain can just join the meeting regardless of if they were invited or not. So they don't have to be on a calendar invite or in the Google Classroom, they can just join the meet. Participants joining by phone, so if they've been given the phone number and PIN number, to join that meet, they do not need to knock to request to join the meeting. And then anybody in the meeting can dial out. This is again done from that same people view. You'll see an option to call out next to the view all of the participants. If you toggle it off, then everybody, regardless of if they are inside or outside the domain, will be asked to knock. So you would have to allow everybody into the meeting. The only exception to that is if they are on the calendar invite. So this would also include anybody who's dialing into the meeting would have to knock. Any participants invited from within the meeting other than by the host has to knock. If the host invites somebody to the meeting from within the meeting. They do not have to knock. But this does allow it so that only the host can dial out. So there's not a lot of granularity with these settings. It is either all on or all off. And which way works best for you kind of depends on your situation. But just remember that if it's toggled off, everybody has to ask to join. And so you have to accept all of those people, which might be something you do or don't want to do. That's going to be up to you.
There was a question that someone posted.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right in front of Emily's face. Sorry about that. How can you reinvite someone if you're using meeting codes? Like if we had to boot them and you're using a meeting code, how do we reinvite them?
Yeah, Rick, do you want to demonstrate that after this slide when you kind of take over the demo bit?
Sure. I don't know if I know the answer, but I can definitely try to demonstrate it.
Well, I can direct you to where that is because I know how to do it. You're just in charge of that bit.
Awesome.
So then one other thing in the moderation tools, there is a shield down in the lower left corner of the meeting, and that's where you can quickly control quick access. And there's also 2 additional options of letting everyone share their screen or letting everyone send chat messages. So I love the chat messages because I know that chat can be super distracting. I was in a webinar session earlier this week, and the chat didn't seem to have anything to do with what was being talked about in the meet. It seemed like it was this totally other conversation, and I wasn't sure who was paying attention to what. So if it were my webinar, it was not, I was just watching it, but if it were mine, I would have maybe turned off those chat messages so that everybody was focused and paying attention to what was being talked about. And then when we had a spot for discussion, then you can toggle that back on, and then everyone can send those discussion and have that great conversation, which is really important, but may take away from the focus. So super great tool. And then sharing your screens if that, again, quick, easy toggle. So those are our moderation tools. Rick, do you want to hop over and
For
switch
sure.
to the demo?
Yep. And there was one other question, which was please define dial out, which we can demonstrate when I do that. So what I've shared here is, what I've shared here is a Google Meet that we are already on, and I'm going to show you some of the features. Let's come over here, and do you see this shield right over here? This shield allows us to control all those features that were just discussed. So this is quick access that Emily talked about, which if someone is invited, they must ask to join, or they can just pop right on. Anyone could share the screen right now, but nope, now they can't. And then this is send messages or send chat messages. So like Emily was talking about a moment ago, if the person is talking about, say, Google Meet features and everyone else is discussing where to go for lunch, you can turn that off right here. This is where all the host settings are. This is just my camera, my video, and these are the host controls, just another way to look at it. Now, Emily, you were going to show me how to, let's say I decided to boot someone.
Yeah,
right?
So if you were to boot somebody here from that, you can use, so to kick somebody out, you can use that little, looks like a circle with a dash in it line. But if you click on the add people just right above that, that would be where you would invite somebody back in.
Got it.
And you just enter in their email address. If they're in your domain, you can it'll start automatically populating it. Otherwise, you can copy and paste that from anywhere. And then in that same spot, you can actually is where you would dial out. So I saw the question pop up briefly about dialing out. This means you can make a phone call out from Google Meet. So it is as if you're using Google Meet like Skype almost, is kind of my best comparison there. So you can make a phone call to any landline, cell phone, any number.
Yep. And that's all right over here when you are the host, right? So like kids aren't going to be able to do this, right?
That depends on your settings in your quick access.
True. Because
I'll go back to that slide really briefly here. Because this is where I was really confused about these when I first saw these come out. So anyone can dial out when it's toggled on. Only the host can dial out. So make that phone call when it's toggled off.
That makes sense. Cool.
Yep. All right, we have any other questions on the moderation tools before we move on to the more interesting stuff?
What moderation tools are the best? What could
I
be
mean,
more?
I think they're super cool, but that's just
Right.
me.
If you remove someone, oh, sorry, I can just do this. If you remove someone, he, she cannot join again, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
that is correct.
And then this was dial out would work well if someone's microphone did not work or was staticky, or they're on like super bad connection, right? Their Wi-Fi is not working, the camera is not working, just switch to a phone. Maybe their landline. I understand people still have those. I'm saying that because I do still have a landline. I'm
Yeah,
very old.
The other option might be to give them the actual like the meeting join if for somebody who's having issues getting into the meet with the video or with just audio on a computer, giving them just the phone number to call in and PIN number to enter to. So yep, that would be
Cool.
another option. Totally. All right, I'll move on to the next one, background blur.
Okay, you want to talk about it? I'll demonstrate it, and then you can explain why it doesn't work.
Sure. I can totally do that. So background blur takes your background. So all of this lovely background that I have behind me, I could blur it out and it would just show the kind of you. It does a pretty good job. I have noticed that like sometimes hands get a little bit weird if you're somebody who talks with your hands. I am, and I have to like consciously put them down. But it does a pretty good job. It can be turned on before you enter the meet or once you've already joined it. But here's sort of the like big asterisks with this. It does not work on Chromebooks, on mobile, or tablets. It also causes Meet to crash on some computers. I happen to have one of those computers, so I don't actually have the Meet option. And then because of this kind of the way that it glitches out, it actually crashes all of the future Meet sessions you join. So exactly, it's kind of a disaster. So you can fix this in your Chrome settings. If you go to advanced, you can turn off hardware acceleration. If you don't know how to do that, just quickly Google hardware acceleration in Chrome, and Google has a step-by-step guide of where to click to turn that off. If you turn that off and refresh your Meet, it will work perfectly for you and you will have no future issues. So that's the fix. Rick,
Cool.
do you want to demonstrate for us?
Yeah, it does work on mine. Mine hasn't had that issue. That's woof. That's a lot to go wrong.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
Yeah, totally. Once you're in the Meet, because like for to join said Meet, right? It would be like was mentioned here, right? It would be just as you join, you could turn it on there. But if you are already in the Meet, you come over to your three dots, click this, and it's right here, turn on background blur. And when that happens, ta-da, my background is blurred. Do you all see that?
Yep, it looks great on the video.
Yeah.
So hands are good-ish. But this, I feel that this is something that I hope they get working for students, because some kids don't want to turn on their camera just because, well, they don't want to turn on their camera because they don't want what's going on in the background to be seen. This really will make it easier for them.
And I do know that I did see in a Google update release earlier last week, recently, that they're working on an extension for Chrome. So it will work on Chrome eventually. And I'm assuming this will also fix the problem on the other computers that are having an issue with it, because the extension will be much more gentle on your system. But
Cool.
no promises on when that'll be out. I didn't have a date, just that it was coming. So cool. Any questions about background? Well, I didn't see any pop up, but if you're seeing anything, Rick, otherwise we'll move on to the next one.
Tiled view.
Tiled view. Okay. This one is fantastic. Love tiled view because you can view up to 49 people on the same screen all at once. You can toggle yourself on or off in the grid. And whether or not you're on or off is only reflected in your view, for not anyone else. And you can change how many people you want to see. You can go down to, I think it's 4 is the smallest, up to 49. So it's super cool. And I'll let Rick demo how that works because it's great.
It is pretty neato. It's not going to be as exciting with 3, but let's talk about how I can add myself in. You can see my little me is over here. And if I click on this remove tile, boop, it just goes to Emily and Emily. But if I do this, boop, I'm back in. And if there were more people, you have to come in here, change layout. Right now, auto, you would want it on tiled, obviously. And then here's where you drag it over. Again, nothing has changed on the screen here because there's only 3 of us. But if there were 49 or more, it would make all this little pictures smaller and populate it with everyone else. The biggest bummer, me personally, I have with this is that every time you enter a meet, you have to go in and move that slider. So I think people got used to the meet extension that just did it automatically. This, for now, you come in, change layout, and drag the slider over. So, which is pretty cool. Again, it'd be easier to demonstrate with more than 3 people, but you get the idea.
Mm-hmm. And I saw a question in the chat if you want to pop it up, Rick. Yeah. Do people need to have a Google account to attend a Google Meet session?
Yes, I
Yes.
think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was just changed too that you have to have your Google Meet account to get into Google Meet.
You at least have to have the free Google account, the free Gmail account to join a Google Meet.
Right. Which, I mean, it's how can I have no other answer than it's Google's playground, man. You got to join. So, which is a bit of a bummer if you don't want to have a Gmail account, but barrier to entry, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions before we slide on to the next slide?
Jessica, who is another GEG leader, popped into the chat that she forgets all the time about the tile thing. So, and then Chris Turnbull asks, is there an algorithm for who is shown if more than 49 people are present? Like the first 49 that didn't, yeah. I don't know about what the algorithm is, but like if a bunch of people have their camera off, it might put the people with cameras on. Does that sound right?
That's what I've noticed in some bigger meetings is that if people have their cameras turned off, they're not prioritized in the grid unless they're talking.
That would be the algorithm, I imagine, right?
I mean, I don't know for sure, but yeah, that's what I've noticed. So,
yep, I've noticed the same thing with my class.
All right, awesome.
All right, now we're going to talk about Jamboard. So you are able to use Jamboard within your Google Meets. Now you can create your own new virtual whiteboard, or you can also access Jamboards you created already to pull up. The Jamboard, once it's created, will be shared into the chat as a link so the people who are in your Google Meet have access to it. And the Jamboard will go up to 20 frames, and you can have 50 people in the Jam at the same time. And now I will show you how to find that and use that on your screen. So just like you go for the tile view, you're going to find those 3 dots here, and it's going to be on the top here where it says whiteboard, open a Jam. Then it will give you the choice to choose from your drive or to start the new board. And then it'll show you here to allow access to edit, so you'll make sure that they can send. You can also turn the link on to share where anyone with the link can edit that Jamboard. It should populate the people who are in the Meet for you to share it with. I always like to turn the link on just in case to make sure that it's there and my students have access to it. Then we'd send it out, and the Jamboard will pop up on your screen, and then it should be sent into the chat box for the link for the other people to join.
And I can show that real quick if you want me to.
Yeah.
What popped up on my screen is right here in the chat is the link to the Jamboard. And then what I see, whereas Emily's was a separate window, it becomes another tile for me, or tab rather. Does that make sense? Whereas
Mine is
Emily there.
Mhm.
Any questions on Jamboard or how to use that in your Google Meets?
I mean, I have my opinions on Jamboard, but
I think we all do.
Emily, do you want to share how you used it some? Because I think it's kind of cool the way you're using it.
Yeah, so I've been using it a lot for like expectations and like contracts. So different things, we've created rules together and then kids come on to sign it. I use it a lot in small groups too, like if we're brainstorming or they're doing like a turn and talk, so they can be pushed out into groups and then they're all working on different slides in the Jamboard. So if you can get it to work, it's really helpful, I think. I know it does take some finicking, so you might want to practice with it a little bit before really putting it into your lessons or using it during class.
Yeah. I like it for the brainstorming, like the sticky note activities. We can just that's one of my favorite things to do with Jamboard. But, yeah.
no comment.
All right.
Oh, yeah, Jessica I wish Jamboard kept track of what wrote what, and that's, yeah, there isn't really a revision, like version history, is there, in Jamboard?
Yeah, you can't really tell who's doing what. I agree. I wish they had that as well.
That'd be a nice feature.
I'm sure it's coming, because it seems like the kind of thing that they would want to, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Another feature that is happening is background noise on mobile. So this will be working on mobile devices. It usually works for not picking up quick, sharp sounds and eliminates those ambient noises. It's in that audio setting when you're on your mobile, and you can turn it on or off to be filtered. I haven't used this one a lot, so I don't have a lot of experience with this. Emily or Rick, have you used this feature quite yet?
No. I hear it's great.
Looks like I've only used it once, and there wasn't any noise really to filter out. I was alone in a school building. It was just me and like a person on the other side of the building. So I don't think I needed it on, but it seemed to work great.
Right.
In a quiet room. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing that when you notice it is when it's not working, maybe. So I don't know. I was on a meet with someone who had it, who was using it, and they asked, "Did you hear my dog bark?" And I said, "No." So it worked, I guess. So that's a good sign.
I mean, I guess I love the things that just work in the background. You don't really need to know that that you don't notice. Those are kind of great. Just it's working for you.
Absolutely.
All right, breakout rooms. I'm so excited about breakout rooms. This is my favorite new feature in Google Meet. I've been using it a lot with my classroom. So I'll just kind of talk you through all the features of it, and then I'll show you how you can use it in your Google Meet. So breakout rooms, you can make as many as you would like. So sometimes I use it for small groups of 3 to 5. Sometimes I use it in partners. You can choose random groups, or you can kind of set them and make them yourself, which is nice. The person that owns the meet, or the host or the moderator, can join any session. So once the breakout rooms are in and the kids are pushed out, or whoever you're in those breakout rooms are pushed out, you can kind of hop around within each room and see what they're talking about and how it's going. Participants will see a notification to join the breakout room. And they'll also see a notification to come back to the homeroom. The one thing that I wish would be different was when they come back, it's not a forced comeback. They have to click go back to the main room. So it would be nice if we could have that option to force breakout rooms to come back to the main room. You can see when participants have not joined their breakout rooms, you'll see like kind of that loading, oscillating circle that they haven't quite gotten to that small room. And once you're in the room, you can't reorganize your participants. So you want to make sure that you have who you want where before you push them into those rooms. Then when they're in those breakout rooms, they can start that Jamboard that I just showed you within the rooms. Now, one thing I have seen with this is if Chromebooks aren't updated or if Google Chrome, the web browser, is not updated, then certain participants might not be able to join the breakout rooms. The way I've kind of worked around that is that those kiddos or participants will stay in the main room and still do that small group activity while they're in the main room. And now, Rick, will you show my screen again so then I can kind of show the areas here? So there's these little shapes up here that you can click on. And now I know Rick's the host, so he would be able to show there, but you can decide when you can do those breakout rooms and they'll push out here.
Do you want me to do a breakout room with all three of us?
Yeah, let's see how that goes.
Cool. So we'd go over here, click activities, click breakout room, and then you can decide how many breakout rooms you want. I imagine 2 with this, but you can have a whole bunch if you want, right? You can choose the number of breakout rooms and it will either auto-populate or you can click shuffle and it'll move people around, which again, not much shuffling going on here, right? When I click and it just swaps the 2 of you between breakout room 1 and 2. When I click create, what they'll see is an invite, right? But something else I want to show you while I'm here is this says breakout room, but we can change it and it can be prototyping. Did I spell that right? Yeah, sure. And then empathizing, right? And then that can be like the theme. You can change that, which I think is kind of neat. And if we decide, oh, they should both be in prototyping, you can just drag and drop people. So it will automatically populate the rooms, but you can also like move people around as needed. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click create, and then I'm going to share Emily's screen, and then
You can see here where it's prompting me to join that breakout room. So I'll click join and then it will take me to the prototyping room.
And then as the teacher, right, I can see over here, Emma is a prototyper. And Emily Thomas, you haven't joined yet, but that's because, you know, you're presenting the slide deck. But I come over.
And I actually denied it on purpose. You could show that as an example if you so chose.
Exactly. It looks like you can't join because you joined with your home one, right, Emily?
Yep. So they kicked me out.
Yeah. Boo. So to answer the question that someone asked earlier, which was, as of today, we do not have breakout rooms. What we probably should have mentioned at the very beginning, this is G Suite G Suite Enterprise for Education, or just Cephi, because that rolls off the tongue as easily as GEG. But the idea here is, where was I going with this? This is if you have enterprise, breakout rooms are coming to you, is what I'm saying. All right, let me.
My district just got it yesterday afternoon, so you may be getting it soon if your district is enterprise, if you don't have it yet.
Right. So it should be coming if you have enterprise, right?
Right.
But anyway, you can rename, you can shuffle around, you can start it. Had they both been able to be in the breakout room, I would have been able to join those breakout rooms just to check on the kids. And then when I clicked end breakout room, there's just a little pop-up that says rejoin. So.
Yeah, I wish that pop-up was a sound or some kind of other visual cue for our low readers or non-readers that we have in Google Meet right now. But, you know, always room for Google, always likes feedback.
Well, and especially if they're working on a Jamboard and they're not necessarily in the Meet looking at it right away, it's hard for them to know when we're coming back. So I agree, Emily, like a sound alert to come back would be really nice.
Totally. Definitely would be beneficial. All right. Coming soon. Rick, did you want to talk about coming soon? You want me to talk about coming soon? Or Emily, who's talking about coming soon?
I can kind of talk about it because we saw a little preview about it. So the district I work at kind of got the pilot of this, but then it kind of went away. So we've been able to use it a little bit. So the attendance part is really nice. What will happen at the end of the meet is that you will get an email with a spreadsheet of all of the people that attended that Google meeting. So for me, it really helps out to know who was on time, who was there. It's easy for me to take attendance in the morning. Same when I do small groups. It's easy for me to check to see who maybe missed or who was late. That's a really nice feature. There's also going to be a question and answer and a polling added in, which is really nice. I've done the poll quite a bit. You can just take a quick vote on maybe an activity you want to do with your students or what book you're going to read that day, and they can quick just vote. It's like having a little form right in your chat box. The Q&A is similar to the poll, where students can submit questions and then answer those questions specifically in the chat instead of it kind of all being just one long chat box. So those are coming soon. Like I said, I had them and then they went away. So I'm assuming they're kind of doing some updates on them to make them ready to go.
Awesome.
Yeah, the blog talked about attendance at one point too. Like, it's coming. Oh, just kidding. We're working it out.
Right.
Hopefully soon, because those sound like awesome features and will definitely benefit educators for sure. Okay. So I'll leave this slide up for a while, but I know everybody loves some free CEU. So if you go to this website, bit.ly, and then all caps MMAGEG-CEU, you will have a form to fill out and it will automatically generate a CEU certificate right to your email address.
And I just threw it in the chat. I don't know if it's going to come up as a clickable thing for people. Can't remember how that works in StreamYard.
Yeah, I don't remember either, but
yeah.
Do we have any questions we need to get to?
Just Jessica again, who correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, Jessica. You're GEG Southern Wisconsin, is that right? But she was saying reliable attendance tracking sounds awesome. It would be nice, right?
Totally.
Especially in the big meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one that I was in a little bit ago with the two of you, I can keep track of that. But when it's more than that, I feel like it would be nice.
Yeah, I know some site leaders who would love it for attendance for staff meetings to know who's coming to staff meetings, and yeah. So lots of uses for that one. Hopefully soon. Well, should we talk about what's coming soon?
Yeah.
Rick, Rick, you want to talk about how to connect with us?
I think Rick might be frozen. It might be you and me right now.
Cool. We can talk about this without Rick. Yeah. So the best way to get in touch with us is to you can definitely join our website. We also added these kind of quick links to find us on Facebook and Twitter. We post everything that we're doing on Facebook and Twitter, as well as other resources shared from other Google educator groups around the country and around the world. And our next planned webinar is Google Slides, your G Suite multi-tool. So looking at Google Slides as a Swiss Army knife. So all of the other things you can do with them and other topics coming soon. We don't have any dates yet, but we will have some webinars coming up and offer some free CEUs, because who doesn't love those?
They're the best. Any more questions in the chat? I haven't seen anything come up, but I've also lost connection at least twice. So
I don't see any in the chat, but if there are questions, pop them in the chat. We've got a couple minutes we can answer them for anyone.
And I just also wanted to add, if there's anything that you guys are looking for webinars, that's something that you can request on our Facebook or on the Twitter as well.
Please.
Yeah, let us know what you want to know about. We would love to use that as our guide to write webinars rather than us just guessing.
Right. Well, and a number of people did post this because they were saying, no, where was it? We don't have breakout rooms yet either. which is got to be super frustrating. I mean, Emily V and I are both in Bloomington, where we did get it pretty early, but Emily T, you just got them today, you said?
Yesterday, but like, I think it was after 4 p.m. when we first noticed it in a meet. So pretty late in the day. So today is really our first day with them. And of course, it was a non-student day for my district. So
Couldn't try them out yet.
Yeah, we should probably have a fancy sign off.
we should. Well, I'll put the CEU link up one last time for anybody who would like to grab those and hasn't gotten them yet.
Right on. I'll do that. But no,
There
it
we go.
covers Emily when I do that. Boop.
That's okay. I can hide behind it.
Aw. Well, yeah. Go up real high and see it.
Here we go.
Yep, there. Perfect.
There we go.
Yeah, that's not weird. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. I think at one point we were up to 10 people watching. I don't know how many of them were us, but this will live on the YouTube channel forever. Ooh, Trent posted something. Ooh.
That's a good question. I like this one.
Have anything with creating rubrics in Google Classroom? With
Emily, do you have anything? I have not used rubrics in Google Classroom at all.
I have not used rubrics in Google Classroom yet, Trent, but that's something that we can look into and see if we can find something.
Yeah. We can definitely look at kind of doing something with that for a future webinar. It's a great idea. I love that one for a future webinar.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see any other questions in our chat, and it looks like we lost Rick again.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming to our webinar. And yep, like we said earlier, let us know what you want to learn next.
Yeah, thanks so much. And grab those CEUs if you want them, and we'll see you next time.
And I'm going to click end now.